I should have known the moment Valerie stumbled out of that hospital room, gripping my arm like I was her personal crutch, that everything was about to change. But grief makes you stupid. Loyalty makes you blind. And I'd been both for 5 long years. "Gemma, dear, help me to the car," she slurred, the anesthesia from her minor gallbladder surgery still making her words thick and clumsy. "You're such a good girl. Caleb chose well. My name is Gemma, and I used to believe that taking care of family meant something, that sacrifice had value, that being the dutiful daughter-in-law would somehow honor my dead husband's memory. God, I was naive. I guided Valerie's frail 75-pound frame into the passenger seat of her pristine Mercedes, the one she never let me drive, even though I'd been her chauffeur for years. Her silver hair was perfectly styled despite the hospital stay, because heaven forbid Valerie Phillips look anything less than immaculate in public. "The house better be spotless when we get home," she muttered, fumbling with her seatbelt. I can't stand mess. I bit back the urge to remind her that the house was always spotless. I'd spent the last 5 years making sure of it, scrubbing floors, organizing her medications, managing her social calendar, cooking her meals exactly how she liked them, all while my own life withered away like a plant forgotten in a dark corner. "Of course it is," I said instead, starting the engine. The drive home was mostly quiet, Valerie dozing against the window. I found myself staring at the massive houses in her neighborhood. Our neighborhood, I guess, though it never felt like mine. Even after Caleb died, and I moved in to take care of his mother, I always felt like a guest who'd overstayed her welcome. Caleb. My chest still tightened when I thought his name. 5 years gone, and I still reached for him in bed sometimes, still saved funny stories to tell him before remembering he wasn't coming home. He'd loved me fiercely, defended me against his mother's subtle digs and passive-aggressive comments. Without him as a buffer, living with Valerie had become a masterclass in emotional warfare. "You know," Valerie said suddenly, her voice thick with medication and something else, "I never wanted children. Did you know that?" I glanced over at her. She was staring out the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. "Darius wanted a big family, 3, 4 kids, but after Caleb..." She trailed off, shaking her head. "Madison was a mistake Darius never knew about." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Madison, Valerie's precious daughter, the golden child who could do no wrong, the one who lived across the country and called maybe twice a year, but somehow remained the favorite while I sacrificed everything. "What do you mean?" I asked carefully. But Valerie had drifted off again, her head lolling against the headrest. At home, I helped her upstairs to her bedroom, made sure she had water and her medications within reach. The house felt enormous and empty around us, all marble surfaces and expensive furniture that no one was allowed to actually use. I'd given up my cozy apartment for this mausoleum, and for what? So Valerie could have someone to boss around while she waited for her real daughter to visit. I was heading to the kitchen to start dinner when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Mom, it's Madison. Flying in tomorrow morning. Don't pick me up. I'll take a cab. We need to talk." I stared at the message, ice forming in my stomach. Madison never visited. The last time I'd seen her was at Christmas 2 years ago, when she'd spent the entire week complaining about everything, from the thread count of the guest sheets to the temperature of the house. I climbed the stairs to check on Valerie, but she was sound asleep, snoring softly. In the dim light from the hallway, she looked fragile and old, almost innocent. The next morning, I was arranging fresh flowers in the foyer when I heard the taxi pull up. Through the window, I watched Madison emerge with 2 large suitcases and a determined expression that made my blood run cold. She didn't knock. She had a key. "Gemma!" she called out, her voice echoing through the house. "Where's Mom?" "Upstairs resting," I said, coming into the hallway. "She just had surgery yesterday." "Good. We need to talk first. Madison dropped her suitcases with a thud on the pristine marble floor. She looked older than her 33 years, stress lines around her eyes, and a hardness to her mouth that hadn't been there before. I'm moving back home. Something cold slithered down my spine. Moving back, permanently. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Which means you need to find somewhere else to live. This house isn't big enough for both of us, and let's be honest, I'm family. You're not. The words hit me like a physical blow. 5 years of devotion, of putting my life on hold, of being the daughter Valerie actually had, while Madison lived her life across the country. And now I was being dismissed like hired help. Valerie needs care, I managed to say. She can't live alone. She won't be alone. She'll have me. Madison's smile widened. Her real daughter. I found Valerie in the sunroom an hour later, sipping tea from her favorite china cup. She looked refreshed, alert, nothing like the drowsy woman I'd helped home yesterday. Madison's here, I said, setting down the medication tray I'd prepared. I know, dear. We've already talked. Valerie's voice was crisp, businesslike. No trace of the vulnerability from the car ride. She's going through a difficult time. The divorce, losing the house in California. She needs her family. What about me? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Valerie set down her teacup with a delicate clink. What about you? I've been here for 5 years, Valerie. I gave up my apartment, my job, my friends. I've taken care of you through every doctor's appointment. And I'm grateful. She waved her hand dismissively. But Madison is my daughter. You're not blood, Gemma. You were Caleb's wife, not his sister. The casual cruelty of it took my breath away. 5 years reduced to a technicality. Where am I supposed to go? I am sure you'll figure something out. You're a capable woman. Valerie picked up her teacup again. Madison needs the guest room for her things, and frankly, it's time you started your own life again. Caleb wouldn't want you playing nursemaid forever. Don't bring Caleb into this, I wanted to scream. You hated that he chose me. You made that clear from day one. Instead, I nodded. How long do I have? A week should be sufficient. A week. To find a place, pack up 5 years of my life, and disappear like I'd never mattered at all. I was heading upstairs when I heard Madison's voice from the living room. Mum, this furniture is so dated. We need to completely redo this space. Whatever you think is best, darling. I paused at the top of the stairs. Through the banister, I could see Madison dragging the antique coffee table to a different spot, her face scrunched in concentration. This whole house needs updating. It's like a museum in here. Madison flopped onto the sofa, the white silk sofa that I'd been forbidden to sit on for 5 years. And we need to talk about getting you better help. Someone younger, more qualified. Gemma has been adequate, Valerie said. Adequate. 5 years of my life, and I was adequate. She's not a real caregiver, Mom. She's just some widow playing house. You need professional care. I gripped the banister so hard my knuckles went white. Playing house? I'd managed every aspect of Valerie's life, from her medications to her social calendar to her dietary restrictions. I'd held her hair back when she was sick, driven her to every appointment, listened to her complain about everyone and everything. Perhaps you're right, Valerie murmured. I couldn't listen anymore. I went to my room, the room that would soon be Madison's, and started pulling clothes from the closet. My hands were shaking. An hour later, Madison appeared in my doorway without knocking. I hope there are no hard feelings, she said, though her tone suggested she couldn't care less about my feelings. It's just business, you know? Family first. I folded a sweater with deliberate care. Of course. Good. I'm glad you understand. She leaned against the doorframe. I'm thinking of turning this into a home office. The light is perfect in here. She was already erasing me, planning my replacement before I'd even left. Madison, I said quietly, what happened in California? Really? Her face hardened. That's none of your business. I'm just trying to understand why you're suddenly so interested in being here. You haven't visited in 2 years. I don't owe you explanations. She straightened up. I'm going to help Mom redecorate the living room. Try to keep the noise down while you pack. After she left, I sat on the bed and stared at the half-empty closet. This room had been my sanctuary, the only space in the house that felt remotely mine. Now, Madison was planning to turn it into an office. I was reaching for another sweater when my fingers brushed against something tucked behind the hanging clothes. A small wooden box I'd forgotten about, pushed to the back of the shelf. Inside were Caleb's things, his watch, some old letters, a few photos. I'd hidden them here after Valerie made it clear she didn't want reminders of her dead son cluttering up the house. Underneath the photos was an envelope I didn't recognize. My name was written on it in Valerie's handwriting, but the paper was yellowed with age. I opened it carefully. Inside was a letter, but not to me. It was addressed to someone named Nathan, dated 34 years ago. The handwriting was definitely Valerie's, younger and more flowing. My dearest Nathan, I can't stop thinking about our afternoon together. Darius suspects nothing, thank God, but I'm terrified he'll find out. What we have is too precious to lose, but too dangerous to continue. I'm pregnant, and I don't know what to do. Please call me. Love forever. V. I read it 3 times before the implications sank in. 34 years ago. Madison was 33. My hands were trembling as I folded the letter back up. Valerie's drunken confession in the car suddenly made perfect sense. Madison was a mistake Darius never knew about. Because Madison wasn't Darius's daughter at all. The studio apartment I found was a shoebox compared to Valerie's mansion, but it was mine. 48 hours after Madison's ultimatum, I was sitting on a borrowed air mattress, surrounded by cardboard boxes and eating takeout Chinese food with plastic utensils. My phone buzzed. Another text from Valerie. Gemma, Madison forgot to give me my evening medications. Can you come by? I deleted it without responding. The 3rd one today. You look like hell, Natalia said, setting down 2 cups of coffee on my makeshift table, a cardboard box covered with a towel. My old friend from before I'd disappeared into the Phillips family bubble had shown up with caffeine and moral support. Thanks. Really what I needed to hear right now. I'm serious. When's the last time you did something for yourself? And I don't mean organizing someone else's pill dispenser. I took a sip of coffee. It was terrible, but it was hot. I called that lawyer you recommended. Jasper something. Wallace. Good choice. He helped my sister with her divorce. What did you tell him? That I need to understand my legal rights. About the house. About Caleb's will. About everything. I pulled the letter from my purse. And I need help with this. Natalia read it twice. Her eyebrows climbing higher with each word. Holy shit, Gemma. This is proof that Madison isn't who she thinks she is. You think Valerie had an affair? I know she did. The timeline matches perfectly. Madison was born 9 months after this letter was written. Natalia set the letter down carefully. What are you going to do with this? I don't know yet, but I'm tired of being the only honest person in that family. My phone rang. Jasper Wallace. Gemma? I've reviewed the documents you sent. We need to meet. Can you come to my office tomorrow? Is it bad news? It's complicated news, but there might be options you haven't considered. The next morning, I sat across from Jasper in his downtown office. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Let's start with the house, he said, spreading papers across his desk. Caleb's will is very specific. It grants you permanent residence privileges, as long as you're providing care for his mother. But she kicked me out. She can't, not legally. The will supersedes her wishes. He leaned forward. The question is, do you want to fight for it? What would that involve? Filing a motion to enforce the will's terms. It would be public record. Messy. I thought about Madison redecorating my room, about Valerie's casual dismissal of 5 years of devotion. How messy? Family court messy, lawyers, depositions, probably some media attention given the family's social standing. And this letter? Jasper examined it again. If authentic, it suggests Madison may not be entitled to inherit from Darius's estate. His trust specifically allocates funds to biological children only. How do we prove it's authentic? DNA testing. We'd need samples from Madison and something belonging to Darius. I remembered the lockbox in Valerie's bedroom, filled with Darius's personal effects. I might be able to get something. Gemma. Jasper's voice was gentle. Before we go down this road, you need to understand what you're starting. This won't just expose Madison. It'll destroy the entire family. They destroyed me first. He nodded slowly. Then let's talk strategy. That afternoon, I drove back to the house. Valerie's Mercedes was gone, probably at her weekly bridge game. Madison's rental car sat in the driveway. I used my key, hoping Madison was out. The house felt different already. Furniture moved, new throw pillows on the sofa, fresh flowers in arrangements I hadn't made. Gemma? Madison's voice came from upstairs. Is that you? Just getting some things I forgot, I called back. I climbed the stairs quietly. Madison was in the master bedroom, going through Valerie's jewelry box. Find anything interesting? I asked from the doorway. She jumped, dropping a pearl necklace. I was just organizing. Right. I walked past her to Valerie's dresser, where the lockbox sat on top. Valerie asked me to get something for her. Madison watched suspiciously as I opened the box with the combination I'd memorized years ago. Inside were Darius's cufflinks, his wedding ring, some old photos. I palmed one of the cufflinks. What did she want? Just some papers. I closed the box. How's the caregiving going? Madison's face flushed. Fine. Great. Mom's doing much better. Really? Because she's been texting me about missed medications. She's confused sometimes. The surgery, you know. Valerie's never confused about her medications. She's been taking the same pills for 3 years. Well, maybe you didn't explain the schedule clearly enough. I smiled. Maybe. My phone buzzed as I headed for the door. Valerie, texting again. Madison gave me the wrong pills this morning. I feel terrible. Please come back. I showed Madison the screen. Still think she's confused? Madison snatched the phone, reading the message. Her face went white. She's lying. She's trying to make me look bad. Why would she do that? Because she's manipulative. She's been guilt-tripping me since I got here, making me feel like I'm not good enough, like I don't belong here. Welcome to my world, I said quietly. Madison stared at me, something shifting in her expression. For a moment, she looked young and lost, then her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her face hardened again. I have to take this, she answered with fake brightness. Hi, Mom. No, everything's fine here. Gemma just stopped by to get some things. I left her lying to Valerie and drove straight back to Jasper's office. I got it, I said, placing the cufflink on his desk. He looked at it, then at me. Are you sure about this? Send it for testing, along with whatever you can get from Madison. How do we get her DNA? I thought about the coffee cup Madison had left on Valerie's nightstand, the lipstick prints on the rim. Leave that to me. That night, I sat in my tiny apartment and drafted an email. The subject line read, "The Truth About the Phillips Family Legacy." I attached the letter, the DNA test results I'd have soon, and a detailed timeline of Valerie's lies. The recipient list included every family member I could find email addresses for, plus a few key people in their social circle. My finger hovered over the send button. Jasper's words echoed in my head. "This will destroy the entire family." Good, I thought, and hit send. I stared at the draft email for 3 days before Jasper called with the DNA results. "Gemma, you need to sit down." I was already sitting, but I gripped my coffee cup tighter. "Just tell me." "Madison is not Darius's biological daughter. 0% match." The words hung in the air between us. I'd suspected it, hoped for it, but hearing it confirmed felt like a punch to the chest. "Are you certain?" I ran it twice. Different labs. Same result. Jasper's voice was gentle. "There's more. I did some digging on Nathan Williamson, the man from the letter. He's been making regular payments to a trust fund in Madison's name for 33 years. How much? Enough to pay for her college, her wedding, probably her divorce lawyer too. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars." I set down my coffee cup before I dropped it. "He knows. He's known all along. The payments started the month Madison was born." "What about Darius?" "Based on the trust documentation, he believed Madison was his daughter until the day he died. The inheritance she's claiming? It was meant for his biological children only." I pulled up the email I'd been staring at for days. "I'm sending it." "Gemma, wait. Once you do this—" "I know." I added the DNA results to the attachments. "They threw me away like garbage, Jasper. Let them see what garbage can do." I hit send before I could change my mind. The first response came within an hour. Aurora, Valerie's gossipy niece, replied to the entire email chain. "Is this real? OMG, Gemma. If this is true..." Then my phone started ringing. Unknown numbers, family members I barely knew, reporters somehow. I turned it off and waited. By evening, Natalia was at my door with wine and updates from social media. "It's everywhere," she said, showing me her phone. "Aurora forwarded your email to half the city. The Phillips family drama is trending on the local Facebook groups." "Any word from Valerie or Madison?" "Radio silence. But look at this." She pulled up a news article. "Madison was supposed to speak at some charity gala tonight. She didn't show." The next morning, my phone had 47 missed calls. I turned it back on long enough to see a text from Madison. "You psychotic bitch! You've destroyed everything." Another from Valerie. "We need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding." I deleted both and called Jasper. "The trust fund is in chaos," he told me. "Darius's estate lawyers are reviewing everything. If Madison isn't his biological daughter, she could lose millions." "Good." "There's something else. Nathan Williamson wants to meet with you." That surprised me. "Why?" "He didn't say, but he's flying in from Seattle tomorrow." I met Nathan at a quiet restaurant downtown. He was older than I'd expected, maybe 60, with silver hair and tired eyes. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "You've caused quite a stir," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. I told the truth. That's all. The truth. He laughed bitterly. "Do you know what the truth cost me? 33 years of paying for a mistake, watching my daughter from a distance, never being able to claim her. Your daughter who just tried to throw me out of my home. Madison doesn't know about me. Valerie made sure of that." He leaned forward. "She told Madison that Darius was her father, told me to stay away or she'd destroy my marriage. I've been paying blackmail for 3 decades. Then why are you here?" "Because Madison called me last night, screaming about DNA tests and family secrets. She figured it out." His voice cracked. 33 years, And she found out from a stranger's email. I felt a flicker of something. Guilt? Sympathy? I pushed it down. That's not my fault. Isn't it? Nathan's eyes were hard now. You could have come to me first, given me a chance to tell her myself. Like you had 33 years to tell her yourself? He flinched. Valerie says a lot of things, most of them lies. I stood up. Your daughter destroyed my life because she thought she was entitled to everything. Now she knows she's not. Deal with it. I was halfway to the door when he called after me. She's broke, you know. The divorce took everything. She was counting on Darius's inheritance. I turned back. Then maybe she should have been nicer to the woman taking care of her grandmother. That afternoon, Jasper called with more news. The estate lawyers filed an injunction. Madison's access to the trust fund is frozen pending investigation. What does that mean? It means she can't touch Darius's money until paternity is legally established. Could take months. And the house? That's where it gets interesting. I filed a motion to enforce Caleb's will. The judge granted a temporary restraining order. Valerie can't evict you. I sat down hard on my air mattress. I can go back? If you want to. The house is legally yours to occupy as long as you're providing care for Valerie. What if I don't want to provide care anymore? Then you forfeit the residents' rights. But Gemma, there's something else. Valerie's been hospitalized. My stomach dropped. What happened? Panic attack, apparently. Madison called 911 yesterday after your email went out. She's stable, but... He paused. She's asking for you. I closed my eyes. Even now, even after everything, part of me wanted to rush to that hospital. 5 years of conditioning don't disappear overnight. What did you tell them? That I'd pass along the message. The decision is yours. I stared at my phone, at the missed calls from Madison, from Aurora, from numbers I didn't recognize. The Phillips family was imploding, and I was the one holding the match. Jasper? Yeah? Set up a meeting with the estate lawyers. I want to discuss my options regarding the house. All of them. I thought about Valerie lying in that hospital bed, probably still convinced she could manipulate her way out of this mess. About Madison discovering her entire identity was built on lies. About Nathan, paying for 33 years of silence. All of them. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams. I found Valerie in a private room, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. The machines beeping around her bed made her seem fragile, almost human. Gemma, her voice was hoarse. You came. Jasper said you were asking for me. Sit down, please. She gestured weakly to the chair beside her bed. We need to talk. I remained standing. About what? About how I'm not blood? About how I was just adequate? You don't understand. The stress of all this, the reporters calling, Madison screaming at me. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I had to tell her about Nathan. She won't speak to me now. Good. Valerie's eyes widened. How can you say that? She's my daughter. She's Nathan's daughter. You've been lying to her for 33 years. I was protecting her, protecting my marriage. You have no idea what it was like back then. I know what it's like to sacrifice everything for family and get thrown away when someone better comes along. A nurse poked her head in. Visiting hours end in 10 minutes. I turned to leave, but Valerie grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. Please, I'll make this right. Come back to the house. Madison can stay in the guest room. You can have your old room back. We'll work it out. I looked down at her hand on my arm, remembering all the times she'd dismissed me, belittled me, made me feel like an intruder in what should have been my home. No. Gemma, please. You made your choice, Valerie. Live with it. I left her crying in that hospital bed and felt nothing. The next morning, Aurora called me directly. "Honey, you need to see the news." I turned on the local morning show to see Madison's face filling the screen. She was standing outside some fancy hotel, mascara streaked down her cheeks, facing a crowd of reporters. "Complete lies fabricated by a bitter woman who couldn't accept that she wasn't really family," Madison was saying. "Gemma manipulated my mother while she was vulnerable, probably forged those documents." The reporter cut her off. "But what about the DNA evidence?" Madison's composure cracked. That's private family business. My mother is in the hospital because of this harassment." "Is it true you've lost access to your inheritance?" No comment. Madison pushed through the crowd toward a waiting car. My phone rang. Jasper. "Did you see it?" "I'm watching it now. She's making a mistake going public like this. Makes our case stronger." "What case?" "Defamation. She just accused you of forgery on live television." On screen, the news switched to file footage of the Phillips family at some charity event. Valerie in an elegant gown, Madison smiling beside her, both of them the picture of high society respectability. "The Phillips family has been prominent in local philanthropy for decades," the reporter was saying. "This scandal has rocked their social circle and raised questions about the family's charitable foundation." I turned off the TV. My phone was buzzing with notifications, friend requests, interview requests, messages from strangers taking sides in a drama they didn't understand. That afternoon, I met with the estate lawyers in a conference room that cost more per hour than my rent. 3 men in expensive suits sat across from me, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. "Ms. Gemma," the lead lawyer began, "we've reviewed your situation regarding the residence. Legally, you have the right to return to the house. What about Madison?" "She has no legal claim to the property. The house belongs to the trust, and the trust specifies that Mrs. Valerie has lifetime occupancy, with provisions for your residence as well." "And if Valerie dies?" The lawyers exchanged glances. "The house would pass to Caleb's heirs. Since he had no children, it would likely be sold, and the proceeds distributed according to his will." "Which means?" "You'd receive a significant portion, possibly half." I sat back in my chair. Half of a multi-million-dollar house. More money than I'd ever dreamed of. "There's another matter," the second lawyer said. "The charitable foundation. Mrs. Valerie has been the chairwoman for 15 years, but given recent events, they want her to step down? The board is concerned about the negative publicity. They're looking for a replacement." "What does that have to do with me?" "Your name has been suggested. You have a clean reputation. You understand the family's philanthropic interests. And frankly, the board thinks it would be good optics. Show that the foundation is moving past the scandal." I stared at them. "You want me to take Valerie's position?" "The salary is substantial. The social connections alone would be valuable. And it would demonstrate that you're not the vindictive person Ms. Madison is portraying you as." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Nathan. Madison wants to meet with you. She has something to say." I showed the message to Jasper. He frowned. Could be a trap. She's desperate. Or she's finally ready to face reality. "What do you want to do?" I thought about Madison on TV that morning, calling me a liar, trying to paint herself as the victim. I thought about Valerie in that hospital bed, still trying to manipulate her way out of consequences. I thought about 5 years of being treated like hired help, while they lived off money that wasn't even theirs. Set up the meeting, but somewhere public. And the foundation position? I looked at the lawyers, these men who'd spent decades protecting the Phillips family's secrets and money. Now, they were offering me Valerie's crown. "I'll consider it." That evening, I sat in my tiny apartment and Googled the Phillips Family Foundation. Photos of charity galas, ribbon cuttings, donation ceremonies. Valerie in every picture, smiling and gracious, the perfect philanthropist. In one photo from last year, I could see myself in the background, holding Valerie's purse while she posed with some politician. Invisible, forgotten, just part of the scenery, not anymore. I picked up my phone and called the lead lawyer. "I'll take the position," I said. "When do I start?" I met Madison at a coffee shop downtown, the kind of trendy place she would have sneered at before her world fell apart. She looked terrible, unwashed hair, no makeup, wearing a wrinkled sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Thank you for coming," she said, not meeting my eyes. I sat across from her, keeping my purse in my lap. "Nathan said you wanted to talk. I know what you think of me." "Do you?" She finally looked up. Her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "You think I'm a spoiled brat who got everything handed to her, aren't you?" "Yes." The admission seemed to surprise her as much as it surprised me. I was, but I didn't know about Nathan. I swear I didn't know. So, I've been living a lie my entire life. Everything I thought I knew about myself, about my family. She shook her head. "Do you know what it's like to find out your whole identity is fake? Do you know what it's like to give up your whole identity for people who throw you away?" Madison flinched. "I'm sorry. About the house, about what I said. I was scared." "Of what?" "Of being nobody." Her voice cracked. "The divorce took everything. My house, my car, most of my friends. The only thing I had left was being a Phillips, being Daddy's little girl. And now you know Darius wasn't your father. Now I know I'm the daughter of some stranger who paid my mother to keep quiet." She wiped her nose with a paper napkin. "Nathan wants to have dinner. Get to know me. Like we can just start over after 33 years. Maybe you can." "How? How do I trust anything anyone says now? How do I know what's real?" I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation, of the entitled princess who'd kicked me out of my home. All I saw was a broken woman facing the collapse of everything she'd believed about herself. "What do you want from me, Madison?" "I want you to drop the lawsuit." There it was. Why would I do that? Because you've already won. You destroyed us. Isn't that enough? "I didn't destroy you. I exposed you." "Same thing." She leaned forward. "Please. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. Drop the lawsuit and I'll disappear. You can have the house, the foundation position, whatever you want. I already have those things." "Then what do you want? Money?" "I don't have any, but Nathan might." "I want you to stop lying." Madison blinked. "What?" "On TV yesterday you called me a forger. You said I manipulated your mother. You painted yourself as the victim. I was upset. You were lying. Again." I pulled out my phone and showed her a video I'd saved. "This is security footage from your mother's house, from the day you moved in." On the small screen, Madison was clearly visible in Valerie's bedroom, going through jewelry, pocketing a bracelet. "You were stealing from her while I was packing my things." Madison's face went white. "That's not... I was just what? Just taking what you thought you deserved?" "She gave me that bracelet years ago." "No, she didn't. I was there when she got it. It was a gift from Darius for their anniversary. She never let anyone else touch it." Madison slumped in her chair. "God, what is wrong with me?" "You tell me." "I don't know. I've been taking things that weren't mine my whole life, haven't I? Money from Nathan, love from Darius, a house that belonged to you." She looked up at me. "How do I fix this?" "You start by telling the truth. Publicly." "What do you mean?" Call a press conference. Admit you lied about me. Apologize for the things you said. They'll crucify me." "They're already crucifying you. At least this way you'll deserve it." Madison was quiet for a long moment. "And if I do this, You'll drop the lawsuit? I'll consider it. That's not a yes. It's all you're getting. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. When? Tomorrow. I'll call the reporters who've been hounding me. I stood to leave, then paused. Madison? Why did you really come back? Honestly, I thought Mom was dying. The surgery, her age. I thought if I came back and played the devoted daughter, I'd inherit everything. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I'm not even entitled to inherit anything. No, you're not. The next day, I watched from my apartment as Madison faced the cameras again. This time, she looked different. Smaller. More honest. I want to apologize, she began, her voice shaky. Yesterday, I made accusations against Gemma Phillips that were untrue. She didn't forge anything. She didn't manipulate anyone. She simply told the truth about my family, and I attacked her because I couldn't handle that truth. The reporters shouted questions, but Madison held up her hand. I've been living off money that wasn't mine, claiming an inheritance I wasn't entitled to, and treating people badly because I thought my name gave me the right to do whatever I wanted. I was wrong. My phone rang. Jasper. Are you watching this? Yeah. She's actually doing it. I didn't think she had it in her. On screen, Madison was still talking. Gemma gave 5 years of her life caring for my mother. She deserved better than what our family gave her. I'm sorry it took losing everything for me to see that. So? Jasper said. Are you dropping the lawsuit? I watched Madison walk away from the cameras, shoulders hunched against the shouting reporters. She looked like a woman who'd finally run out of places to hide. Not yet, I said. But we're getting there. That afternoon, Aurora called with gossip. Honey, you need to know. Valerie's been discharged from the hospital, but she's not going home. Where is she going? Some fancy assisted living place. Apparently, she can't handle being alone in that big house anymore. I hung up and stared out my tiny apartment window. The Phillips mansion would be empty now. Just me, if I wanted it. All that space, all that luxury, all that history. The question was, did I want to go back to the scene of my imprisonment, even as its new owner? My phone buzzed with a text from the Foundation's board president. Can you start Monday? We have a gala to plan. I typed back, yes, I'll be there. But first, I had a house to reclaim. The assisted living facility was nicer than most hotels I'd stayed in. Marble floors, fresh flowers, staff in crisp uniforms who smiled like they meant it. I found Valerie in the sunroom, staring out at a perfectly manicured garden. I wasn't sure you'd come, she said without turning around. I wasn't sure I would either. She looked older than her 75 years, fragile in a way that had nothing to do with her recent hospital stay. Her hair was still perfectly styled, but her hands shook as she reached for her teacup. This place is costing me $8,000 a month, she said. Did you know that? No. I can't go back to the house. Too many reporters, too many memories, too quiet. She finally looked at me. Madison hasn't visited. Have you called her? What would I say? Sorry I lied about your entire existence? Sorry I let you believe a dead man was your father while your real father paid me to stay silent? That would be a start. Valerie laughed, but there was no humor in it. You always were direct. Caleb loved that about you. Don't. Don't what? Don't bring Caleb into this. You hated that he chose me. I hated that he chose anyone. Her voice was sharp now, more like the woman I remembered. He was my baby boy, my perfect son, and then you came along with your middle-class background and your practical shoes, and suddenly I wasn't enough for him anymore. So you punished me for 5 years. I gave you a home. You gave me a prison. I sat down across from her. Why did you really ask me to come here? Because I'm dying. The words hung between us. I waited for her to elaborate. but she just sipped her tea. The doctors say 6 months, maybe less. The stress, the scandal. My heart can't take it. I'm sorry. Are you? Really? Her eyes were sharp, calculating. Or are you just waiting for me to die so you can have the house? I already have the house, Valerie. The lawyers made that clear. Yes, they did. Clever girl, using Caleb's will against me. She set down her teacup with a clink. I underestimated you. You dismissed me. Same thing. She leaned forward. But I'm not dead yet. And there are things you don't know. Like what? Like the real reason I kept Nathan's secret all these years. I waited. It wasn't just about protecting my marriage. It was about protecting Madison from the truth about her father. What truth? Valerie's smile was cold. Nathan Williamson has 3 other children, all from affairs, all abandoned when their mothers became inconvenient. He's a serial cheater who collects bastard children like trophies. That doesn't excuse. Madison was lucky I kept her from him. At least she had Darius, who loved her like his own daughter. Nathan would have destroyed her. The way you destroyed me? I never destroyed you. I made you stronger. I stared at her. Even now, even facing death, she couldn't admit what she'd done. You threw me away like garbage. I gave Madison priority because she needed it more. You're strong, Gemma. You always were. Madison is weak, broken. She needed protecting. From what? The truth? From herself. Valerie's voice cracked. Do you think I don't know what she is? Selfish, entitled, manipulative? She learned it all from me. But she's still my daughter. No, she's not. She's Nathan's daughter. You just raised her. Valerie's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked like what she was, a dying old woman who'd spent decades building lies to protect herself from uncomfortable truths. I loved her, she whispered. Despite everything, I loved her. Love isn't supposed to hurt people. Isn't it? Look what you've done to this family in the name of justice. Was that love for Caleb, or just revenge? The question hit harder than I expected. Both. At least you're honest about it. We sat in silence for a moment. Outside, an elderly man was feeding ducks by a small pond. Normal people living normal lives, unburdened by decades of secrets and lies. What do you want from me, Valerie? I want you to forgive Madison. Why? Because she's going to need someone when I'm gone. Nathan doesn't want her. He made that clear. She has no real friends, no money, no family except... She looked at me hopefully. Except what? I'm not her family, remember? I'm not blood. You're the closest thing she has to a sister. I'm the woman she tried to make homeless. And you're the woman who destroyed her entire world in response. I'd say you're even. I stood up. I'm not responsible for Madison. No, but you're responsible for what happens next. You have the power now, the house, the foundation, the money. What are you going to do with it? Whatever I want, including destroying what's left of my daughter. I looked down at this woman who'd controlled my life for 5 years, who'd made me feel small and unwanted and disposable. She was asking me to show mercy to the person who'd kicked me out of my home. Madison made her choices. So did you. And now you have to live with the consequences. I walked toward the door, then stopped. Valerie? Yes? I'm not coming to your funeral. She nodded. I didn't expect you to. I was almost to the parking lot when I heard shouting from inside the building. Through the glass doors, I could see staff members running toward the sunroom. My phone rang as I reached my car. The facility's number. Ms. Gemma? This is Nancy from Sunset Manor. Mrs. Valerie has collapsed. We're calling an ambulance. I looked back at the building, at the flashing lights of the ambulance pulling into the circular drive. Is she conscious? She's asking for you. I got back in my car and drove away. 2 hours later, Jasper called. Valerie's in the hospital, massive heart attack. Madison's flying in from Seattle. How do you know? Nathan called me. Apparently he's Madison's emergency contact now. Is Valerie going to make it? They don't know. But Gemma, if she dies, everything changes. The house becomes yours outright. The foundation position is permanent. You'll be one of the wealthiest women in the city. I pulled into my apartment complex and sat in the car, engine running. And Madison gets nothing. Nothing. Nathan might help her, but legally she has no claim to any of it. Good. Is it? Really? I hung up and stared at my tiny apartment building. In a few hours, I might own a mansion. I might be rich beyond my wildest dreams. I might finally have everything the Phillips family had denied me. So why did I feel so empty? Valerie died 3 days later without regaining consciousness. I found out from the morning news, not from any family member. The reporter stood outside the hospital, talking about the end of an era and the Phillips family legacy. I was drinking coffee in my new office at the foundation when Madison walked in without knocking. She looked like she'd been crying for days. The funeral is tomorrow, she said. I know. Are you coming? No. Madison sat down across from my desk, uninvited. She asked for you at the end. The nurses said she kept saying your name. Too little, too late. I know you hate us. I know we deserve it. But she's still dead, and I'm still alone. I looked up from my computer. What do you want, Madison? I want to make a deal. You have nothing I want. I have information. She pulled a manila folder from her purse. About the foundation, about where the money really goes. I leaned back in my chair. I'm listening. Mom wasn't the saint everyone thinks she was. Half the donations went to fake charities, shell companies that funneled money back to her personal accounts. Prove it. Madison opened the folder and spread papers across my desk. Bank statements, forged receipts, correspondence with dummy corporations. She's been embezzling for years, millions of dollars. I studied the documents. The evidence was damning, detailed, undeniable. Why are you showing me this? Because when the board finds out, they'll shut down the foundation. All those legitimate charities that depend on this money? Gone. All those people you could actually help? Screwed. And I know how to fix it. I have Mom's personal accounts, her passwords, everything. We can transfer the stolen money back, make it look like donations, clean up the mess before anyone finds out. What's the catch? I want half. I laughed. Half of what? The stolen money? Half of everything. The house, the foundation, the inheritance. I'll help you cover up Mom's crimes, and we split what's left. Or I could just turn these documents over to the police and let you go to prison as an accessory. Madison's face went white. You wouldn't. Try me. She gathered up the papers quickly. Fine. I'll take them to the FBI myself. Tell them you knew about the embezzlement, that you're part of it. With what proof? I'll make something up. I'm good at lying, remember? I stood up and walked around the desk until I was standing over her. Madison, let me explain something to you. I have the best lawyers money can buy. I have a spotless reputation. I have the sympathy of this entire city. You have nothing but a history of lies and manipulation. Who do you think they'll believe? You can't just... I can do whatever I want. That's what power means. Madison slumped in her chair. Please, I'm begging you. I have nowhere to go. Nathan doesn't want me. I have no money, no friends, no family. You should have thought of that before you kicked me out of my home. I was scared. So was I. For 5 years, every day, wondering when Valerie would decide I wasn't useful anymore. Turns out I was right to be scared. Madison started crying again. What do you want me to do? How do I make this right? I sat back down and studied her. This broken woman who'd once seemed so powerful, so entitled. Now she was just another person who'd learned that actions have consequences. You want to make it right? Yes? Then disappear. Leave town. Change your name. Start over somewhere else and try to become a better person. With what money? I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a cashier's check I'd had prepared that morning. $50,000. Enough to start fresh somewhere else. Madison stared at the check. Why? Because Caleb would have wanted me to show mercy, and because I'm tired of carrying around all this anger. This doesn't make us even. No, it doesn't. But it makes me free. Madison took the check with shaking hands. What about the embezzlement? I'll handle it. The money will be returned, the foundation will be cleaned up, and the people who need help will get it. And if I ever come back? Don't. Madison nodded and stood up. At the door, she turned back. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About everything. I know you are. That's why you're getting the money. After she left, I called Jasper. It's done. Madison's leaving town. And the documents? I'm keeping them. Evidence, in case she ever tries to come back. What about the embezzlement? We'll fix it quietly. Set up a payment plan to return the money over time. The foundation will survive. And you? Are you okay with all this? I looked out my office window at the city below. Somewhere out there, Madison was probably booking a flight to start over. Somewhere else, Valerie was being prepared for burial. And here I was, in charge of millions of dollars that could actually help people. I'm better than okay. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That evening, I drove to the Phillips house, my house now. I walked through the empty rooms, remembering 5 years of feeling like an intruder. Now every room, every piece of furniture, every memory belonged to me. I found myself in Caleb's old study, looking at his photo on the desk. He was smiling, the way he always smiled at me, like I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. I kept my promise, I said to the photo. I took care of your mother until the end, but I also took care of myself. I hope that's okay. The house was quiet around me, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like possibility. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalia. Saw the news about Valerie. You okay? I typed back, better than I've been in years. Want to come see my new house? OMG. Yes. Should I bring wine? Bring champagne. We're celebrating. I put down my phone and walked to the window. The garden was overgrown. Valerie's gardener had quit when the scandal broke. Tomorrow I'd hire someone new. Someone who could help me plant something beautiful in soil that had been poisoned for too long. The Phillips family was gone. Their secrets were buried with Valerie. Their lies had been exposed and their power broken. But I was still here, stronger than I'd ever been. Free in a way I'd never imagined possible. I'd sacrificed everything for the illusion of family loyalty. But in the end, I'd learned something more valuable than revenge. I'd learned the cost of silence, the price of acceptance, and the power of finally saying no. Never again would I sell myself for someone else's version of love. Never again would I be disposable. I was Gemma Phillips, and this was my house, my foundation, my life. And I was just getting started.